Hello and welcome to Tailgate Talk. We're here at Griffin Field at formerly Livermore Falls High School, now Spruce Mountain High School South Campus. And we're here to talk about the Class A schedule, Eastern Class A schedule this week. And a big game this week, another big game this week for the Lewiston Blue Devils. Seems like every time they go up to Bangor, it's a huge game, and that's the case this week, Cal.
Yeah, I mean, and it always seems like they're going up to Bangor. It's hard to remember the last time Bangor came to Lewis. I think it was only a couple of years ago, actually, for a playoff game. But it seems like all these big, pivotal late-season games are up in Bangor. I know Bangor coach Mark Hackett was trying to spin this as a playoff game for the Rams, but it is nothing on the level of what it is for the Devils. Lewiston must win this week, or their season is, for all intents and purposes, over. Certainly their playoff hopes. They've got to get back on track. Shutout loss last week. Kind of got to get the offense going against Bangor, a team that has a lot of weapons. Bangor is kind of becoming what I think a lot of us thought Lewiston was going to be at the beginning of the year, with a lot of options on offense. They've got the tailback Zeb Toole, who not in the mold of Josiah Hartley. He's not a kid that's going to carry the ball 35, 40 times, but he can give you just enough to move the chains and set up that fullback trap with Cody Chapman, and he'll usually take it to the house based on what I've seen from him this year, both against Edward Little and against Oxford Hills last week. Got a quarterback in Carl Farnham that can throw the ball a little bit. Lewiston has become heavily dependent on Jeff Turcotte. They're going to have to diversify that quite a bit, I think, to have a shot against Bangor.
Lewiston's going to need a little help to make the playoffs as well. And a team that they could use some help from, ironically, is their rival, Edward Little, who hosts Skowhegan this week, one of those teams that's in the chase with Lewiston, currently tied, correct, in the standings. Can they get some help from the Red Eddies this week?
Well, they certainly can. At home, EL definitely got themselves on track last week with a convincing win over Mount Ararat. Now, a lot of teams have gotten themselves on track against Mount Ararat. Let's not make too much of that. It's a team that Edward Little has had trouble with in the past as far as stopping that double wing stuff that they like to do. I know in the last few years, Skowhegan has kind of diversified from that and has made their offense a little bit even more versatile. They've been scoring points at a surprising rate for most of the year, even against some of the better teams. So I think EL is probably going to have to hope that they can outscore the Indians. Certainly they've demonstrated that they can do that. Darnell Hairston has been definitely a focus of their offense this season, but they've done some nice things. They've had a little bit of a quarterback rotation, have the Red Eddies, with Josh DeLong and with Sean Ford stepping in there and DeLong moving out to receiver. So they've kind of not been able to really fully establish their identity at that position. They've got some playmakers. They can hang in there with the Indians. And yeah, I think they can win. Up at Skowhegan, I might think a little differently, but at home, Walton Field, yeah, they got a shot.
The other matchup involves Oxford Hills and a very tough Brunswick team. Brunswick just week after week continues to prove itself to be a big threat to Lawrence and Bangor and the top teams in Eastern A. And Oxford Hills, maybe a little bit of deceptive score against Bangor last week. Kind of hung around with Bangor and played them tough, and still making some steps forward.
Yeah, I think it's kind of what you alluded to last week, that not all 1-4, 1-5 teams are created equal. There's a naked eye test that a team can pass or fail. And for me, certainly last week against Bangor, Oxford Hills passed it with flying colors. That game, as much as it was 35-7, and as much as Bangor probably could have piled it on a little more, it came down to 4 or 5 plays. It wasn't a shellacking in any sense of the word. Oxford Hills, they just don't have those playmakers yet that some of those other teams in the league have, but they have a lot of kids that are playing extremely hard, and you can see it on every play. And that's something you like to see. You can definitely see the Paul Withy mentality developing with this program. It's just a matter of time. If they can get through this week, they've got a couple of games that they should be competitive with Edward Little and with Coney at the end. Brunswick, I think a lot of people think might be the best team in the league, and so can Oxford Hills beat Brunswick? No, probably not, but I think it's something they can continue to build. They've been facing the iron of the schedule, and they've got a chance to maybe do something down the stretch the last couple of weeks.
All right, so that'll wrap it up for our Class A preview. Hopefully see you at the field. Hopefully the weather will be as nice as it's been the last few days. And check us out at sunjournal.com and in the print edition as well. And we'll talk to you next week. For Callie Oaks, Randy Whitehouse. See you.